I did not see him at first. I only heard the low hum of his voice over the splash of oars and the chaos of the floating market, a sound that cut through the noise like a blade through silk. The market swayed around me, all colors and smells and shouts, merchants crying out prices in rapid-fire English and Spanish, children darting between boats, the air thick with the scent of fried batter and rain-soaked wood. It was the year 2090, and New Louisiana's floating market had become the pulse of the Gulf. People came here for everything: spices, illegal tech, stolen art, and sometimes something far more dangerous. I was here for neither spice nor art. I was here to disappear. The boat beneath me rocked as I leaned forward, my hood drawn low. The crowd didn't look twice good. No one needed to see the faint shimmer on my back, the wings I had stopped trying to mend years ago. No one, especially not an alpha, ever looked at an omega with broken wings and saw anything but weakness. That was why, when he stepped onto my boat, I froze. He didn't ask permission. He just crouched low, his eyes dark and assessing, not on my back, not on the place where feathers once bloomed, but right into my face, like I was the only thing worth looking at in this chaotic world. "You're in my seat," he said, though I could tell this was no public ferry. His tone wasn't confrontational. It was curious. I swallowed, the oar slipping in my hands. "I don't think this boat belongs to you." He smirked, the corner of his mouth tilting in a way that felt dangerous. "Does it belong to you?" I didn't answer because telling him yes would be telling him too much, and telling him no would be a lie. Instead, I adjusted my grip and pushed off the dock. He didn't move to leave, he just shifted closer, his knees brushing mine as we drifted into the market's maze. His scent hit me then. Warm cedar, a hint of smoke, something steady, unshakable. My pulse stuttered, my instincts screaming to retreat, but there was nowhere to go. "You're running from something," he said after a beat. I tightened my jaw. "Everyone here is running from something." His gaze didn't waver. "But you're not afraid of me." He was wrong. I was terrified. The rain began without warning, thin at first, then heavier, beating on the neon tarps that covered the market boats. Merchants cursed and pulled their goods in tighter. I turned us down a narrow canal, hoping to lose him in the maze of wet wood and flickering holograms, but he kept watching me, like he could see straight through the lies I'd wrapped myself in. "My name's Cale," he said finally. "I didn't ask." "I know." His voice dipped low, intimate. "Tell me yours anyway." I almost told him. That was the dangerous thing, how easy it was to want to. Instead, I said, "If you know who I am, you'll walk away." He tilted his head, rain dripping from the edge of his dark hair. "If I know who you are, I might just hold on tighter." Something in my chest ached, the old wound where my wings had shattered tightening until it hurt to breathe. No one said things like that to me. No one dared. We docked under the cover of an overhanging tarp. I needed him gone before he learned too much, before his presence pulled me into something I couldn't escape. But when I turned to tell him to leave, his hand caught mine. It wasn't rough. It wasn't claiming. It was steady, warm, like he was anchoring me to this moment. "Stay," he said, and I hated how much I wanted to. The market at night was another world. Lanterns swung from mast to mast, light refracting on the slick water, voices dropping low into murmurs meant only for the shadows. I'd planned to sleep in my boat, far from the main canal, but Cale followed me without asking. He sat opposite me, one knee drawn up, watching the reflections dance on the water. "You keep looking over your shoulder," he said. "That's how you survive here. That's how you get exhausted." I glanced at him. "And what would you know about exhaustion?" He smiled faintly. "More than you think." There was something in his Tonia history I couldn't quite read, and I hated that I wanted to. The wind picked up that night, stirring the market's lanterns and sending tiny ripples across the water. I thought Cale might finally leave when the last of the merchants packed up, but he stayed, sitting quietly in my boat like he belonged there. The rain had stopped, but the air was still heavy, thick with unspoken words. "Who broke them?" he asked suddenly, his eyes flicking just on Cito where the remnants of my wings hid beneath my shirt. The question sliced through me. My grip on the oar tightened until my knuckles burned. You don't want to know. Maybe I do. I stared at the dark water, my reflection broken by the ripples. It doesn't matter. They're gone. I'm not who I used to be. His voice was quiet, almost too soft to hear. You're still you. Something in my chest cracked at that. The truth came later in fragments. We were hiding under the shadow of a half-sunken warehouse when I told him about the night my wings shattered, that it wasn't an accident, that an alpha I trusted had been the one to destroy them. His jaw tightened as he listened, his hands curling into fists. You didn't deserve that, he said, his tone low, dangerous. I laughed bitterly. Deserve has nothing to do with it. Then I'll make sure it doesn't happen again. He said it like a vow. And part of meth part one thought was dead believed him. But the market wasn't safe, and neither was I. Word had spread that an Omega with broken wings was drifting through the canals. And there were people who wanted me for reasons far worse than pity. The night they came for me, Kale was the only thing standing between me and the dark water. 3 men, armed and desperate, cornered us near the edge of the docks. I was ready to vanish into the canals and hope they lost my trail, but Kale stepped forward, calm and certain, like a storm made flesh. You want him, Kale said, his voice like steel. You'll have to go through me. They tried. They failed. Later, when the danger was gone and the market was quiet again, I sat trembling in the boat, my pulse still racing. Kale knelt in front of me, his hands on either side of my knees, grounding me. You could have died, I whispered. So could you. You didn't have to. Yes. He cut in, his gaze locking on mine, fierce and unshakable. I did. The night air was cool on my skin, carrying the scent of the river, the neon glow painting his face in shifting colors. My heart was a wild, desperate thing in my chest. I don't know how to be what you think I am, I admitted. He leaned closer, his forehead resting lightly against mine. Then just be. I'll see the rest. For the first time in years, I didn't feel broken. I just felt seen. When the sun rose over the floating market, the water turned gold. Merchants began to stir, laughter and music spilling into the air again. We sat together on the edge of the boat, his arm brushing mine, our knees touching. The world was still dangerous. I was still running. But now I wasn't running alone. Kale glanced at me, a slow, warm smile spreading across his face. Stay with me, he said, not as a command, but as a promise. And for once, I didn't think about what I was losing. I thought about what I might finally be able to keep. I stayed. Thank you for listening. If you find it interesting, please like and subscribe to follow the next stories.